Hi, we are still road tripping around Tasmania and you guys are listening in record numbers, so thank you so much. This week's episode is a fun one as we take you on a trip to Launceston via Penguin, Deloraine and then onto the Tamar Valley Wine Region. Our first stop for brekkie was the cute little town of Penguin and we tell you why it's called that. Then we drive on to one of the prettiest towns in Tasmania, if not Australia, Deloraine on the Meander River. It should be in movies, it's just that gorgeous. Finally, we reach our overnight accommodation in the city of Launceston. We take you to the most popular tourist attraction in town, the spectacular Cataract Gorge. We also walk through the city park, which we were really surprised to see an animal enclosure full of cheeky, cute little, nope, I'm not telling, you'll just have to listen. Here's a hint though, they were a gift from Japan. Then we travel on to the small town of Grindelwald, which is a replica of a Swiss village with the same name, full of Swiss chalets and pristine gardens. We stay in a tiny hotel room, which was my fault when booking, but it was cheap and the facilities were amazing. They have an indoor heated pool and putt-putt golf, which I'm just going to say here, I actually kicked Lyle's butt in. Then we go on a full-day wine tour all around Tamar Valley. It is such a beautiful area of Tasmania and the wineries were fabulous. We visit Marion's Vineyard on the side of a hill with views to die for, Goaty Hill Wines, which is now Small Wonders Organic Wines, with the most amazing platters and picnic areas, Holm Oak Vineyard with its huge pigs, and lastly, Swinging Gate with its cute mascot, Nellie the dog. Listen to the end to hear where our favourite place to have a wine was and about the really cool mixed dozen program that allows you to buy a couple of wines at each participating vineyard and then you can have them all sent home together. What a great idea. And that means your holiday can continue when you arrive home. Perfect. So please enjoy episode 47, which is part 3 of our road trip around Tasmania. Cheers! And welcome to the Beach Travel Wine Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Leanne.
And I'm Lyle, and this is the travel podcast for beach-loving, wine-drinking couples over 50.
So if that sounds like you, grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax and listen as we go travelling the world, one wine at a time.
Cheers.
Hola, mi amor. Here we are back in the podcast studio. Woohoo!
Buenos dias, Leonita.
Today, Lyle, we are continuing on our road trip and I've been very brave on our road trip, you know, as much as I hate travelling and driving, we're doing okay. And this part of our trip is from the beautiful Stanley, where we last left off, to down through the Tamar Valley, through some gorgeous little towns, to Launceston, and we're going to talk about some wineries that we went to in the Tamar Valley Wine Region, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
We are. Yeah, I was good. So we've done the research on the right place. Good.
Sure. So you call it Launceston?
Launceston.
I call it Launceston.
Yeah, well, you're wrong.
Okay.
I'm right, because my friend Gay, who lives in Tasmania, the locals call it Launceston or Lonnie for short, and they get really annoyed when people call it Launceston. Even though it's spelt like that, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of words in English that are spelt right.
Well, Gay's got to be right because she's a school teacher.
So we're
a retired school teacher.
Correct. Well,
are you getting excited?
That's a story for another day.
No, you're getting excited.
I am getting excited because we're planning another big trip coming up soon, which we'll tell you about in an upcoming episode. You can't help yourself.
Where are we going?
We're going to Italy.
Yeah, how long for?
A long time.
8 weeks.
8 weeks. But now we're in Tasmania.
Sure.
So let's do this. And we will tell you about our upcoming trip and where we're going, what we're doing, because I'd like some feedback on some places that we should go. However, we're in Stanley. We leave Stanley on our way to Launceston.
Which is 224 kilometres.
Okay. And which isn't that far. And it's not as windy road, this one. But we, of course, want to stop at a few places along the way. And we're driving along the northern coast, really, aren't we? And then you head down towards Launceston. It's a bit south of where we are. So where's our first stop?
Our first stop is Penguin, which is 96k from Stanley.
And isn't that funny? Like, there's a town called Penguin.
Yeah. It's not a real big town. It's only got a population of about 3,853. It's sitting right on the edge of Bass Strait. Penguin does indeed take its name from its nearby rookery, where you can see penguins return from the sea each night.
Yeah, and it is right on the sea, and there's a lovely walkway all the way along. And when we were there, they were doing parts of it up, and it's like quite very picturesque. And there's the beach is called Penguin Beach, believe it or not.
Yeah. Look, the stretch of the Old Bass Highway is a scenic drive with sweeping ocean views, great picnic spots, and fine beaches for seaside walks. Look, that whole trip that we took was beautiful. Like the scenery along the coast there was magnificent.
So we stopped and had breakfast, I think, there.
We did. And we got a photo.
Yes, we did.
At the 3-meter high penguin.
Right, yeah.
Like most tourists do.
Yep.
And then there's all this art of penguins all over the rubbish bins. So they're pretty proud of their natural penguin there.
Yeah. Well, it's famous for its giant hand-carved penguin statue, which you said stands sort of right there on the beach. And it was created in 1970, that statue, as part of a competition to promote tourism in the area, and so it's obviously become its iconic symbol of the town. So
well, it must be still working because it's still there.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful town, beautiful beaches, and a nice little place to stop, isn't it?
Yes.
On the way.
And do you know which penguin? I just messed up there. Do you know which penguins
I do.
come to shore each night?
Yeah, it's the smallest penguins, isn't it?
In the world.
Yes.
And it's called the fairy penguin.
It is, and it's a beautiful little place to stop. We went to another beautiful little spot, didn't we? And this was a recommendation from some Tasmanian, our friends, and I'm so glad we went there after on our road trip. Hey?
Sure.
So where did we go? Tell us about it.
Well, you're talking about Deloraine.
I am, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we stopped at a couple of spots before we got to Deloraine. We stopped at Devonport, which is...
that's where the Spirit of Tasmania comes in.
Yeah, the terminal.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the north coast where the Meander River meets Bass Strait. On the waterfront, the Bass Strait Maritime Centre has exhibits about early explorers, shipwrecks, and steamers. Look, it's actually quite a nice little town, and the Spirit of Tasmania has been docking there for as long as I can remember.
Sure.
Look, it's about a 10-hour trip from the mainland, from Australian mainland down to Devonport to Tasmania. And there's up to 2 ferries each day. Then when we moved on, we finished at old Devonport. There's also Seahorse World.
Yeah, I wanted to go there. We didn't, but it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it's at Beauty Point in Tasmania's beautiful Tamar Valley, just 45 minutes from Launceston or Devonport. Look, it's a working seahorse farm, and they do tours there, and it's quite intriguing.
So when you say seahorse farm, and the reason I wanted to go is because they're so cute, and I thought it'd be like more of an aquarium, but they actually farm them for.
Yes, but they do. There is an ocean aquarium there, so they're beautiful, and that obviously one of the reasons why they farm them is because of they're quite in demand for home aquariums. But they're also known as Chinese medicine.
Yep, keep going. We don't want to dwell on that.
And the Chinese medicine. Actually, Leanne and I talked about this last night, and she said, "I don't think we should put that in." And I said, "We've got to. You can't not put it in."
Okay, but
so the Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine. Sorry.
That makes it better.
It's thought that they can cure asthma, skin infections, impotence, and can act as a natural Viagra.
But here's the thing, Lol. Who discovered that it can fix those things? I mean, you find a
very old Chinaman.
But obviously they don't have them in China as much as they do here. If they've got a farm, you know what I mean? Like, and who dries them and crushes them up and think, now let's try this on, someone who has asthma. That's just weird.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's traditional Chinese medicine.
Okay.
I'm sure that
Anyway.
a lot of people may question the validity of the Chinese medicine.
Can we
I personally don't,
Okay.
because
Good on you.
I know that it's, it is a natural Viagra.
So can we please move on to somewhere that I did go and did love?
Okay, so we went on to the lovely Deloraine.
Deloraine.
Yes.
Yeah, not
Is
Deloraine.
that like Launceston and...
Oh my God, this is going to be a long podcast, people.
Okay, so Deloraine, it's got a population of about 3,035. Is a town on the Meander River. That's right, the Meander River, in the central north of Tasmania. The region was explored in 1821 by Captain Rowland, who was searching for farmland. The land was granted to new settlers, and the town is now a major agricultural centre with a large number of farms of all types.
Can I interject now? You got something else you want to say first?
No, you go. You're in charge.
Well, I've got a lot of facts and information there. What I want to say is we didn't go there because it was a farming town in the middle of central Tasmania, even though that's important. We went there, as I said, on the recommendation of my friend, and both of us have said it's probably one of the prettiest little towns we've seen in Australia anywhere.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And it's very arty. They've got art studios, and art studios and things in the. It's not a big town, as we said, but the river, the Meander River. Oh my gosh, it's picturesque. It's idyllic. It had the weeping willow trees hanging over the water, and the white geese swimming, and the ducks, and then you walk down the path a bit further, and it's sort of got like a natural little rapid in it, with and the rocks go all the way across quite a wide river, and the water, you can just hear it flowing over those rocks, and then it goes down a bit further to a flat bit, and in the distance you can see more of the beautiful willow trees hanging over the edge, and the birds sort of swimming on the water, and on one side
birds swimming on the water.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, like ducks and things.
Oh, yeah, okay.
What are they if they're not birds?
Fair call.
Yeah. And then on another side, there's like this huge parkland, which, is picnic tables and beautiful sculptures. There's wombats and all sorts of sculptures along the way. And then there's this beautiful big suspension bridge across as well. So you can actually, it's a bit nerve-wracking for me, not liking heights, but you can walk across that bridge and look up the river. And it's almost like an old wheelhouse, isn't it? So a big sort of wheel that goes
water
around.
Wheel.
Yeah, water wheel. Yeah. And it is so beautiful.
Yeah, we were pretty lucky. It was a really, really beautiful day. We were sort of there about 10 o'clock in the morning, and we couldn't have picked a better time. It was just, what Leanne's saying is true. It's the most beautiful little town, and the actual the National Trust has classified Deloraine for its historic buildings. Enjoy the well-preserved Georgian and Victorian architecture as you stroll through the Deloraine's picturesque streetscape. So it's an amazing place, because they also have a craft market every November, a craft festival, I suppose you'd call it.
They get thousands and thousands.
Yeah, about 10,000 people to I don't know where they stay, but so they continue that throughout the year. The place is just full of beautiful craft shops and bakeries and restaurants,
galleries
and cafes
and where we had lunch, the nice old pub, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Deloraine Hotel. Look, it was beautiful. It looked like it had just been done up, renovated. But what they've done is they've even though it's modern, they've kept to the old style. What would you call it? Almost antique furniture. The big leather club chairs and the wood, wooden tables and chairs. It was absolutely stunning. And then you go at the back, and there's a beautiful, I suppose, what I'd call beer garden.
Sure.
And there's beautiful iron fretwork. Above you, and I think they have accommodation as well. But it was absolutely glorious.
And you have views of the river.
And you have spectacular views of the river. So
highly recommend if you go through there, lunch at the hotel down closest to the river, because there's another couple of pubs as well.
Okay, and definitely go down and wander along the Meander River. So pretty, yes or no?
Perfect.
We were on our way to Launceston after stopping at Penguin and Deloraine and driving through Devonport, those places. And so it wasn't that far from Deloraine to Lonnie, was it?
No, not far.
No. So we got there. It's a Sunday actually when we stayed, so it was pretty quiet in the town of Launceston. But we had a nice hotel that we stayed in, the Grand Chancellor. And they had a nice restaurant that we ate in.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons people go there is the Cataract Gorge. However, before I'll tell you all about that. You want to tell me a bit about the history of Lonnie, please?
I can. Now, Launceston is a city in northern Tasmania at the confluence of the North Esk and the South Esk River, where they become the Tamar River. Launceston was named Australia's Town of the Year in 2022. So there you go. It was actually the first city in Australia to have underground sewers and the first Australian city to be lit by hydroelectricity. The history.
Yes.
The first explorers did not arrive until 1798, when George Bass and Matthew Flinders were sent to explore the possibility that there was a strait between Australia and Van Diemen's Land, now Tasmania. They originally landed in Port Dalrymple, the mouth of the Tamar River, 40 kilometres to the northwest of Launceston.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You say tomato. Some say tomato.
Tomato, potato.
That's the one.
That's the one. So it wasn't the first city in Tassie, obviously. But it's not that far from Hobart either, is it?
Oh, I think it's about
2.5 hours or something.
Yeah, it's about it's not far.
No, if you drive, Tasmania.
And that's from one end to the
Tasmania.
one end of the state.
Well, Launceston's
north
not
to
at
the
top.
south.
Yeah. Okay. So, as I said, a lot of people go to Launceston to go to Cataract Gorge.
Mm.
So it's a very famous landmark there. It's a sort of a bit of a natural wonder, really, just located just outside of Launceston city centre. We walked there.
Yeah, we walked from the hotel.
Yeah, we did, and it wasn't too far. You can basically see it straight away, don't you? It is a popular destination for tourists like us, but also the locals, because you can hike along the gorge's walking trails, and they've got some areas that you can swim as well. And it actually has, believe it or not, the world's longest single span chairlift, which goes across the gorge. And there's a restaurant and a cafe. We didn't walk all the way down. Like, it was a Sunday and it was a beautiful sunny day, and it was quite busy on the...
It was pretty warm, really, if I remember.
Yeah, it was. But it was pretty busy on the track as well, but you could see there's a bridge down further, and but people like the different walking trails. So there's, as I said, there's a few different ones for different levels of fitness and stuff. So the popular walks are the zigzag track, which is a pretty steep track that takes you down to the bottom of the gorge, where you find the swimming pool and the suspension bridge. And then there's the Cataract Walk, which is 2.1 kilometres, and this trail follows the river through the gorge, offering views of the Alexandra Suspension Bridge. That's the one we did. We walked down that one along the river. So you've sort of got the cliff face on one side, and you're walking along, and sometimes you actually go through some little, not caves, but, like tunnels that you go through to get the other side, and there's some viewing platforms as well where people were sitting and, watching other people jumping off, which wasn't that clear.
Jumping off the cliffs, yeah.
Yeah. It makes me a bit nervous. Duck Reach Trail, this takes you to the side of the former Duck Reach Power Station, and that has beautiful views of the river. Now, the chairlift is one of the most popular attractions there, and because it offers like panoramic views of the gorge and back to the city of Launceston. So to get to the chairlift, you can follow the Cataract Trail from first base, and or take the zigzag track, which we didn't do, from the main car park. And that chairlift runs daily from 9:30 to 4:30. Of course, that's everything in Tasmania is subject to the weather, isn't it? And there are two designated swimming areas, which we were quite surprised at. The first basin and the swimming pool. And the first basin is a natural swimming hole. And then, of course, the swimming pool is it was man-made, really. And there's lots of picnic areas and things down there. And they generally really only open the swimming pool in the couple of the hottest summer months. So it's certainly worth going for a little walk down that, even if you don't want to go all the way, or you can actually drive to the car park, which is down at where the suspension bridge and the chairlift is. That's another alternative that you can do that. So, but I've got some really nice photos of that. And, and going back to sort of Deloraine and Penguin as well, I didn't mention, because I was going on and on about how beautiful Deloraine was. Got some lovely pictures that we took there on our website at beachtravelwine.com with the show notes that goes with this episode. So go and check those out. The other thing that Launceston has, I love a good park, don't you? Good fountain.
Yeah. And that wasn't far from the hotel either.
No, it was like a block up the road, wasn't it? And on the corner there was a nice little coffee shop.
Correct.
Where we got up early in the morning before we headed off to, and the mornings in that morning was just it's clear, it's crisp. I think you even put a jacket on. It was getting, it was quite cool. And we walked to City Park, which has basically been there since 1820. Yeah, and it's beautiful. It's got a walkway all the way around the outside with beautiful, huge established trees, from the ones that have the great big leaves. I don't think what they're called. I should know that. Imagine it'd be stunning in autumn as well. It was beautiful when we were there in summer, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was glorious. There was a big bandstand there, like an old-fashioned vintage bandstand.
And do you remember there's beautiful houses sort of on one side as well, like the great big old majestic homes overlooking the park.
And that remember the glass house? Remember
the conservatory.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Beautiful flowers like orchids, and we wandered through that. I've got some nice photos of that too, because I do love nice
a garden.
I do love a few flowers, don't I? And the other thing that's really popular about this park is they have monkeys there. And
yes, that was a surprise.
It was a surprise for us, and I got some videos of that on our stories on Beach Travel Wine and Instagram. And monkeys are swinging around, and but they had a whole lot of rhesus monkeys that all died in 1979.
Yes,
and so then they were gifted 10 snow monkeys from their sister city. Say that 3 times fast. Ikeda in Japan. So they gave them 10 snow monkeys. Now you think, snow, but apparently they're very adaptable, these monkeys, and they quite like the wet, cold winters of Launceston. And now there's 20.
Oh, something's working.
So yeah, that's
might be that traditional Chinese medicine.
There you go. They like the seahorse powder.
The natural Viagra.
Yeah. And then there's another park which is called Royal Park, which we sort of walked past on our way to Cataract Gorge, and it's more of a big sort of wide open area, where for outdoor play and stuff like that, rather than it doesn't have all the trees and things like this that City Park did. And as you said, the rotunda, I've got a beautiful photo of that. It's not that big. There was that big one, but then there's the other sort of ornamental one, which was just beautiful park. And the hotel we stayed in, the Grand Chancellor, it was in a great spot.
Yeah, I really thought the Grand Chancellor was perfect.
Yeah.
They had a big foyer area, and it had a lovely bar, which we sat at.
We ate dinner there as well.
We had dinner there. The food was great. Yeah, there wasn't much open because Launceston is really just a big country town.
It is. We did have a wander around, but being Sunday, there weren't any shops open. There was one shop I really wanted to go and have a look at, was the umbrella shop.
The umbrella repair shop.
Yeah, but they sold them as well.
Yeah, but there was a repair. I couldn't believe that. There was a repair shop for umbrellas.
And I was looking in the window, all the different designs and things, like only in Tassie or Lonnie could you have an umbrella shop, yeah?
Yeah. But going back to the hotel, Great value. I think it was only about $150
Something
for the
like
night.
that, yeah.
And it was really,
It was a
really
Sunday,
good value.
though. Yeah.
Great location, as you said, 10 minutes walk down to
Cataract Gorge.
the
beginning of it.
The 10 minutes to the park, City
Yeah,
Park,
or even
and probably 20 minutes to Cataract Gorge.
Yeah. But probably go through the week so you get to go to some of the restaurants. It's sort of becoming known as a bit of a foodie area, and we didn't get to experience that. But a great stop on our road trip of Tassie's, yes?
Yeah, great.
Now I'm getting excited because after Launceston, Lonnie, we are off to the Tamar Valley Wine Region, which we love Tasmanian wines. We didn't realise how much we loved Tasmanian wines actually until we went to Tasmania. We'd had a few, but we didn't have a very long drive. I don't know what I was thinking when I was planning this part of the trip, but maybe it's because we just wanted to check out Launceston before we stayed in Tamar Valley. But our destination for the next day of our road trip was about
40k.
Yeah, 40 kilometres. Oh dear. Anyway, doesn't matter. I quite like how good's that, like you don't have to drive too far. So we didn't have to rush in the morning. And today's destination was in the Tamar Valley at a little town called Grindelwald. Yeah. It's and Grindelwald is maybe about 20 minutes from a bit more from Launceston, and it's actually modelled after a traditional Swiss village. There's actually a Swiss village. I knew I was going to get that. A Swiss village called Grindelwald in Switzerland, right? Yeah. So they've built this little village to
like a replica.
Yes, thank you. That's the word. It's a big word from morning, isn't it? And so it's got the chalet style buildings, the gardens and the stuff that you'd see in Grindelwald.
They've got little village shops.
Yeah, they've got and so they've got I don't know, it's obviously like a replica of a church with the spire and everything like that. So it's really quite quaint.
That's the word, quaint.
And once again, my friend said, "Do we really need 2 nights there? Like, there's not a lot to do tonight." But we're going on a wine tour, so that's the reason we're here, and we just thought we'd check out this little village. So where we stayed was the Aspect Tamar Valley Resort. Okay, so it's right in the heart of Grindelwald, and it's got all the Swiss stuff as well, like the chalets and things. And it offers a range of accommodation. And to say that the one I picked, oh man, I don't know, must have been late at night when I booked this place. We got the boutique studio room. And I thought, like, the photos made it look fine, right? And it was fine. It was just tiny. It was so small, but it had everything we needed.
I've stayed in caravans bigger.
But how good was the facilities?
The activities in the facilities, yeah, were good. Yeah.
Yeah. So this resort was built, I don't know, 80s, 90s maybe.
Yeah, it looks about the 80s.
And you walk into the foyer, and it's just this massive, big, area. I think they were going to, and they've got like conference rooms and stuff, and they've got a huge indoor swimming pool.
Correct.
Yeah, and then they've got as you said, like a little part of the village, like a shopping centre. So they've got a bakery, and they've got a cafe, and a bottle shop, and a lolly shop, and you can hire the
souvenir shop.
Yeah, but there's like a lake as well.
Yep.
And you can hire like the paddle boats to go there. They've got a restaurant on site, which was great. We ate there both nights. And they've also got putt-putt golf.
Yes, and that's probably the main memory I have, because Leanne whipped my ass on the old putt-putt golf.
Oh, yes,
quite easily. In fact, I think we may have even had a bet. But yeah, so she whipped my bum there.
And I'm not a putt-putt fan, I have to say, although every time I've played it, which isn't that often, I've really enjoyed it. And this putt-putt thing was really it's not a track course, putt-putt course.
Correct.
It's really picturesque. They've got it in around they've got beautiful trees, little pine trees, and it's got the backdrop of that the entrance building with the spire on top and everything.
And the golf course was quite close.
Yes, and also you got views of the lake while you're there. So it was really good. But I think your technique was what let you down, darling, and just smash and hope for the best. Yeah, like maybe.
I think you've got that wrong. Actually, I thought I overtried. I thought I was trying to be too technical. But maybe towards the end I was starting to bash it a bit because I was starting to get the shits a bit. But because you were sort of some of the shots you were doing, you were pulling out your backside. But
I was, but
look, what is it? Grindy World.
Wold.
Yeah.
But it's great for kids. Like you can take kids there because of the pools, but they also have like a flying fox and a maze and a giant slide, and I think they had like trampolines and like there's just so much there. It could be a fun few days for
children.
Family. Yeah, for children. But we loved it. Like even though it was a small room, we did love our time there. You're looking at me like I'm weird.
Yeah, but I think that was more to do with the fact that we did a wine tour.
Correct, we did, and that's why we were there. And it was a great spot to base ourselves because they were happy to pick us up, weren't they? So, will we talk about our wine tour now? You're happy to do that?
Yes. You've
had enough of Grindelwald. Just before we move on, though, there is like a little walk up to like a lookout.
Yeah, we did that.
Yeah, and I've got a picture of the view because you would think you could be looking over a little Swiss village, and then the countryside around it is really beautiful. Like it's stunning views from up there. He's looking at me like I'm at, okay, no snow, but they do get snow in that area. Just saying. So that was day one. I kicked Lyle's ass at putt golf. There we go. And then so day two, we booked for a wine tour with Tamar Valley Wine Tours.
Yes, we did.
Great name. Yes.
Look, there's 32 wine vineyards in the Tamar Valley, and they produce about 40% of the Tasmanian production of wine.
Okay.
Give you a bit of a history of the Tamar Valley area.
That'd be great.
Look, what happened was back
you used to grow apples, right?
Yeah, back in the 1970s, in fact, 1973, the United Kingdom joined the European community as a member state and which had a sudden and devastating effect on the apple industry.
Okay, so what that really means is Tasmania was supplying all these apples to the UK.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the UK joins
the common market.
Right. And so they were getting them from places in Europe that were growing apples.
Yes. So that actually devastated the old Tasmania.
Overnight they had no market for their apples.
So what happened was the Tasmanian government then came up with a scheme to
basically get rid of the trees.
Yeah, it was basically a tree pull scheme, which was to get rid of all the orchards, and the consequence of that was they started the wine industry. So that's sort of how it started.
Must have been devastating though.
Oh, back in the day, look, I can remember, and I'm old enough to remember back in the 70s that it was huge news.
Okay.
But anyway, that's just the way it is. That's what happens
and
these days.
I guess the changeover between having these full-size apple orchards to growing wine isn't instant either. So it would have been...
No, it would have taken a while, yeah. And I think that, I mean, and the common market now is what they call the European Union. Yeah, basically, that's what it developed into.
Yep.
So now, why are Tasmanian wines so good? Would you like me to read what I've said?
Oh, if you make it quick, that'd be great.
Okay, the Tasmanian landscape is dominated by Deloraine-capped mountains that shelter the state's wine regions from high winds and rainfall. On the lower slopes, the vineyard soil has formed from ancient sandstone and mudstones, and also from more recent river sediment and igneous rocks of volcanic origin. As an island, Tasmania has a moderate maritime climate, cooled by prevailing western winds off the Southern Ocean, providing conditions free of extreme temperature, mild springs and summer temperatures, with warm autumn days and cool nights allow the grapes to ripen slowly on the vine, which helps them develop intense flavours with refreshing structure and natural balance.
I wouldn't have thought you'd call Tasmania mild in autumn, but anyway, it must be.
Well, that's what what I googled.
Yeah.
But look,
what varieties do they have though?
Mainly in Tamar Valley, they're probably more famous for their Pinot Noirs, Chardonnays, Rieslings, and Sauv Blancs.
All the top four, the big four.
Yeah. Look, and they do the Merlot and the Cabernet Sauvignon ripen with consistency there.
Yeah, so they're nice varieties of nice reds and whites. Yeah.
Sure, I've got to say I don't think I've ever tasted a Tasmanian wine that I haven't liked.
No, me either. So, and we're going to tell you about the wine tour that we did. So we went on a wine tour. They came to our accommodation at Grindelwald to pick us up, and we went with as I said earlier, the Tamar Valley Wine Tour. Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
And it was a little bus that picked us up, and I think there was probably maybe 6-8 people on it in total, and us. So it was a nice little group, and there were some really nice people on there, and we were probably the oldest. But
I don't think it was probably. I think we were definitely eldest.
But there's a couple of people on there that really quite had done a lot of wine tasting around Australia, so they were looking forward to this as well. So we went to 4 wineries, if I'm remembering correctly. You sort of lose track after the first few tastings, don't you?
Yeah, look, it's a pretty big day. As Leanne said, they pick her up from the hotel, around 9 o'clock, 9:15, and you get home about 5 o'clock. So it's a big day. The actual on the small group tours, it's $170 per person. They'll do a private tour for couples and families and friends for about $285 per person. Look, this was what I was looking forward to. When we originally started thinking about doing a trip to Tassie, the LAT.
And just sorry to interrupt. I'm good at it. But that price does include all your wine tastings and lunch. That's right. Yeah.
Sorry, I
and we'll come back. We'll come tell you what lunch was in a little while. So, look, we were looking forward to it. We love Tassie wines.
The guy that was doing the tour, I can't remember his name, but he was quite funny. Yeah. And as you're driving around, he's not only talking about the wine, but he's talking about the history
of the area.
And there was a particular bridge that was built only reasonably recent, and that made it much easier for people to get to
one side of the valley to the other, and
to the other.
And he also takes you on the picturesque scenic route, so you're driving along the river sometimes, and it's glorious.
It's a beautiful part of the world. Yeah. It really is a nice part of the world. But the first one we went to was Marion's Vineyard. That opened in 1979, and Marion was a bit of a personality.
She was, wasn't she?
She was an older lady.
Italian, right?
Yeah,
she
was probably about my age.
Italian nonna, and she had
Cypriot.
Okay.
She was Cypriot, and her husband was from California, in America.
And she had her apron on.
Yeah, she had her apron on, and she did the actual tasting. But part of the presentation was she tells you about how they established the winery in the first place and how they carried the rocks and that so they could plant the vines. So it was really. And her husband,
sorry, go on.
It was really, really pleasant.
And her husband was working in the pergola area, and it was covered in grapevines and things. And that's now a little area where you could then too. Got little tables where you can get little tasting.
Well, what they call it, they've got a cellar door and taverna.
Yes.
Sorry, Taverna Delicatessen.
Yes.
Enables you to customise your own platter, pick and sip, with fabulous views of the Tamar River.
And that's what I was about to say, that the tasting rooms are up on the side of a hill.
Yeah.
And so you do, and we've got a beautiful photo of this in the show notes on our website. And you're looking, it's got this beautiful timber.
That's right.
What do you call
Table,
that? Table, yeah. And high stools, and the timber is obviously all one piece or two piece, because everyone was like amazed at this, the colours and the grains and look just beautiful.
Yeah, it was superb.
And then you look down over the winery, the vines, and to their house, which is down to the river. It's like, I'm like, this is not a bad start to the day.
It was sensational. The actual.
And she was great.
Yeah, she was a funny lady.
Yeah.
Funny lady.
We didn't want to leave there. That's our first one, right?
Yeah, and that was about, I would say, about 10 o'clock. So we weren't really trying to get over it, but she was really pushing the Pinot Gris and the
rosé. Yeah, that's
the
right.
rosé, and that was pretty nice.
Mm.
Now, we did actually buy some wine there, and this is one thing that I found was pretty unique. I'd never come across it before, and we've done all these other wine regions.
And I know what you're going to talk about, so I'm just going to say here. So you want to buy some wine, but you've got to fly home and you can't really carry bottles, and you think, well, then you're not going to order 12 and to send them home. So all of us were saying, well, we'd like to take some, but like we could drink them on the way, I suppose. And then we were told about the mixed dozen scheme, which is what
the Tamar Valley mixed dozen. And basically what that is you can, it's most of the
smaller wineries
in Tamar Valley. What they do is you can buy, say, 2 bottles, 1 bottle, 3 bottles, whatever, and which I think we did. I think we bought a couple of bottles at Marion's, and then we bought another couple of bottles at the next one, and another couple of bottles at the next one, and another couple of bottles at the next one. But we actually made up a dozen, and what they do is at the last vineyard that you get to, they package it all up, and they get all your details, and you pay them, and they send it to wherever you live or wherever you want to land.
So you can go to all these different wineries, get yourself a box, even if you're doing it yourself, but on the tour they did it for you. We've all got our boxes in the back of the bus, and, you just add your bottles and you buy them, and then, you just take them up to the counter at the last place. And as you said, I think it was $25. It wasn't even expensive.
No. And we live in Queensland, we're as far as you pretty much can get from Tasmania in Australia on the mainland. So, but I just thought it was a fabulous idea.
Yeah,
I really did. Yeah. So, but anyway, so we
moved on from
we started our mixed dozens at Marion's, and then we went on to Goatee Hill Wines, which we've now found out that they've changed their name to Small Wonder.
And they've now become, it's the same owners, but they've now become organic.
Organic, yeah, totally organic.
Yes. So it's the same, it's the same wine, but they've gone to organic practices. And this was a lovely outdoor sort of area, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was beautiful.
And it wasn't, we sort of were on the top of a slight hill, but they had a lovely sort of paved outdoor area with their picnic tables, which once again, the great big gum trees and in the background and the view of all the vineyards, and it's so green. That's what the other thing to mention is the grass is so green and the vines are just, so lush. It's just beautiful, and that's where we had our lunch, wasn't it?
Yeah, look, it was really, really good. The staff were great. Look, if you go there individually, it's $10 per person tasting, and you get that. If you, I'm not sure whether you're, if you purchase
that's right,
wine,
you get the $10 off that.
You get the $10 back.
Yes.
You can do a gourmet platter for $65. A cheese platter for $35. We had
the gourmet.
The gourmet platters.
And I think we had one between two.
Yeah, there was one between.
We couldn't eat it all.
But it was fabulous. It was all the Tasmanian local products.
Yeah, there was cheeses and meats and all the stuff. And I did take a picture of that, and it's on our website at beachtravelwine.com as well. Just because I'm not much of a food photographer, but I just thought it was so pretty. And there's a lovely picture of the view that we had at lunch down over the vineyard as well. A lot of people just go to that place for a picnic lunch, because it is so, like picnicky.
Well, I think too that the fact that was when we all started to probably loosen up a bit.
Yeah.
And so that we got to introduce ourselves over lunch, and there's some very, very, very funny people on that tour.
Yeah, it's a nice way to do it, isn't it?
I was always a bit probably going to the private ones just with Leanne and I, but this particular tour, changed my mind.
Yeah.
I thought, how nice to meet new people. And just to let you know,
Yes.
the Goatee Hill, or Small Wonder now they call it, got the best Sauvignon Blanc in the Tasmanian Wine Show for 2023.
Well, there's another reason to go visit.
There is.
Yeah.
Look, it was fantastic.
Yeah, beautiful spot. Well, we dragged ourselves away from our beautiful platter and picnic lunch and beautiful wine and hopped back on our bus to our next stop. Now, none of these wineries are too far apart, but, it's enough time to have a bit of a rest and move on. And the next place was Home Oak Vineyard, yeah?
Yep. That's known for its premium Pinot Noir, Cab Sauv, and Merlot. Home Oak is a labour of love for winemaker Beck Duffy.
Yep.
And her husband Tim, who's a viticulturalist.
Now this was a little bit different. This tasting, we got all of them at once on a sheet of paper, and they put the 6 glasses out, I think it was.
Yep.
And they put the wine in, and we were supposed to drink them in the right order. And some of us moved them around, and they got a little bit cross with us, which I was a bit. It
was the third winery.
I know, but it was they weren't very. I don't know. However, the wine was great. We were out on an outside sort of deck area, and they had lovely gardens, and they had some natural attractions in the garden down. A bit further, didn't they?
I think which is a bit sad, but I do remember they had these huge pigs or hogs, whatever you call them.
Yeah, the pigs.
And you got the chance to feed them as part of the activity. Look, it was the third wineries, and we really started to have
enjoy ourselves.
Have a really, really good time with the other people on the tour.
We weren't taking it seriously enough.
Maybe it's as serious as we should.
We're always going to buy wine, though. That's what you do.
But it was.
The wine was beautiful, and I love it when they give you wine tasting in beautiful wine glasses. Like, they just make such a difference. I think, and it's also nice when you get an individual glass for each wine. I know it's not a big deal, but a lot of wineries, they just put it in the same glass. Whereas this one, each wine was in a separate glass, which I just think is a nice little touch, to be honest.
Yeah, look, they do tastings from Monday to Friday. They don't do them on the weekends, and it's from 10 a.m. to 3.
Right.
Look.
Nice little rustic building too, timber and beautiful gardens around the outside. I got a nice picture of the actual winery as outside of the winery before we went in on it. And it's on our website.
Look, it was beautiful.
Yeah,
the actual facility was amazing, and the wine was really, really good. I just think, as you said, the how they presented that because it was right at the end of the COVID as well, so that probably made it a little bit more difficult. They were trying to keep people separate and whatever, but it was the wine was really good. There was no complaints about the wine at all.
So after we fed the pigs, I mean the real pigs, not us pigs, we moved on to the last winery of the day, which was really quite cool, wasn't it? Swinging Gate.
Yes, Swinging Gate Winery open 10 till 5, Monday to Saturday, and Sunday 12 till 5.
Now, the guy who was there, the owner of that, or the manager, Doug, he was there you go. He was a bit of a character, and he had his trusted dog,
Nellie. Look, they were personality plus.
Yeah.
There was Doug, and Hannah was behind the bar, and look, he was a real personality.
And the bar was decorated with really different pictures, and they had this one map which I was fascinated with, which was the wine regions of Spain. Which I
didn't remember that.
Yeah, well, I took a photo of it because we were obviously going to go to Spain wine regions at some stage. So, yeah, and they've got their wine tasting area is pretty rustic. You can be indoors around the bar, or they've got these great big barrels outside, and they, you can try them from the barrels, and got some wooden sort of chairs and things outside as well. Now, Swinging Gate, and I think the reason we finished there is someone on our tour was staying there.
That's right.
They've got these dome things, are they?
Domescapes.
Yeah, so they're open, not open, they're clear. I think, so you can sleep under the stars and stuff.
Yeah.
And the couple that was staying there thought it was pretty damn cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty flash glamping. It's I had a quick look on booking.com. $640 for 2 nights, so it's not cheap. The booking.com, they had a 9.4 rating for superb. 60 reviews. Look, the thing and it did look good because the actual domes are right in the middle of the vineyard.
Sure.
So it's pretty, I'd
love to do something like that. And once again, the tasting area, you look down over the sweeping views over the vineyards and the trees, and I don't know, even if you don't drink wine, you should go because it's just so beautiful.
Yeah, well, the cellar door's an old shed. It's an old working shed.
Yeah.
So,
it was pretty rustic.
Very rustic.
Yeah.
But I think that for me, the best, the wine was great.
Yeah.
But I think the best part of for me was how passionate and enthusiastic the staff.
Yeah.
Doug and Hannah and obviously Nellie's a bit of a legend in the area.
I've got a picture of Nellie. Yeah, as I said.
Yeah. So look, that was our last stop.
Yeah.
I thought that was fabulous. And their go is they do a really great Pinot Noir.
Yep.
Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc.
Yes, okay. There's a lot of Pinot Noirs at these wineries, isn't there?
Yeah, and I had a look. Their Facebook page is really up to date.
Okay, so they like to do their social media stuff. Well, we'll have to reach out to them, won't we? Tell them they're in a podcast now. They'll be happy with that. So that was our wine tour. And we got dropped back at our accommodation at Grindelwald, and I don't think we had much of a dinner that night because we was pretty full from still our lunch and probably enough wine to keep us pretty merry and happy. What I didn't mention about Grindelwald though was how cheap it was. For 2 nights it was just over $200, and it's not much more now. So I know you're complaining about it, but we had so much fun and we had access to all those facilities. And the other thing, they had washing, like a laundry, which, when you're traveling around, that you could use for free. And I just think that's brilliant when places offer that. So would you recommend people go to the Tamar Valley Wine Region?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And if we went back, we'd probably
question.
stay in one of those glamorous glamping somewhere or something like a B&B on the river or something.
I don't think I'd have a choice. I think it would definitely be the Doomscapes.
The Domescapes,
Domescapes, yeah. Look, Tamar Valley, and we were really, really fortunate. The day we had, again, was just beautiful, sunny day, but not hot, just that little bit of Christmas in the air.
Christmas.
There's a little crispness in the air. They look, and as I said, their wine. It's
great.
Just fabulous.
And the other thing to think of, which was great, was, so we had our dozen wines on their way home. And it's, when you get home, it's, it's nice to have that memory of those wines when you get home to drink them. So it's something to look forward to after your holiday.
And I think just one before we forget.
Yes.
The guy that did the tour, and I do apologise because I can't remember his name. 10 out of 10. He was fabulous, and
because you learn about the area.
He made the trip, and all the other folks on it that we did it with, we had some really, really good laughs.
All right, so before we finish off, Lyle, where was your favourite place to have a wine then? Seeing that's all we've talked about.
I got to go with Swinging Gate.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think they were just so passionate about their wine, and they were, had great personalities.
Well, mine would be probably Marion's.
I thought you'd say Marion's.
Yeah. I loved her, and I loved her vision of what she was, building there, and it was a family winery, and
I remember you really loved the rosé.
Okay, and I just the view from there and the wooden table outside, it was just so picturesque, I imagine that's what Tuscany will look like. Oh, we'll find out soon, won't we? Anyway, that's another story.
But would you go back to the Tamar Valley?
Oh, in a heartbeat.
Yep, so would I.
Yeah, but I'd also want to do other wine regions as well because, as we said, we just love Tasmanian wines, don't we? So, yes. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this third part of our road trip. Next episode, we are moving on to one of the iconic places that people love to go is the Bay of Fires up that way of in Tasmania on the northeast coast. So I'll be telling you all about that. But if you do want to know more about the area we went and see the pictures, that's the thing. There's some beautiful pictures. Go to our website at www.beachtravelwine.com. Go to the podcast page, and this is episode 46, where you'll see some links to the accommodation that we stayed at. I'm going to put links to the Tamar Valley Wine tour as well. And there's also going to be links to, there's a website called the Tamar Valley Wine Trails, which will give you like a map and also tells you all about that mixed dozen. So there's some, so the Grindy World will be in there as well if you want to check out, a cheap place to stay. So lots of great information in our show notes that go along with this episode. So until next time on our lap of Tasmania, we'll see you soon. See you.
Arrivederci.